Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are having a wonderful day, a wonderful beginning to your week, a wonderful semester if you're in college like I am. Yeah, I hope you all are just having an awesome time in your life right now. I'm really excited about today's video, which I know I say in every video. You guys are probably really sick of hearing it. Sorry. But I am really excited about today's video. This is a video that I've been teasing both in videos that I filmed recently, although sometimes they may not get up before this one. But I've also been teasing this on my Instagram if you follow me on there. If you don't, you totally should. My handle is KJP2021SU. So you should definitely go and follow me on Instagram. I've been posting a lot more photos and stuff of my makeup. On my story, I do a face of the day every day, which mostly just talks about my eye makeup because my face makeup pretty much stays the same. But yeah, you should definitely follow me on there. Feel free to follow my Twitter as well. It's literally just my name, just like my YouTube channel is, Kelsey Pinzo. Please follow me on there. It would really mean a lot. We are finally going to be doing a review of the ColourPop and Kathleen Light's So Jaded palette. So I did mention / tease before that I ordered this palette, and I'm so excited because I was able to get it today. It came in the mail on Saturday, but my mailroom was closed until this morning, so I couldn't get it until this morning, which is a real bummer because I've been wanting to play with this forever. So I'm super excited that it came in. So I have it on my eyes today. I'll take off my glasses and kind of zoom in so you guys can see. So I'm pretty happy with how the look turned out today. I am going to do a full review, so the part I'm going to talk about now is like some first impressions, and then I'm going to keep using this for a few days, and then in a few days film kind of like a follow-up, more thoughts, things that I'm noticing as time goes on, and do a really full in-depth review, because I sometimes feel like first impressions can be really good, and then you use it and you're like, okay, maybe it could be better. There are things that you notice as you use it with time, so I just wanted to get as in-depth as I possibly can, both first impressions and as time goes on. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. So like I said before, this is the ColourPop and Kathleen Light's So Jaded palette. I'm sure you guys have probably seen this all over YouTube right now. It's crazy going around, and I'm super excited about it. So this is what the packaging looks like. The box is the same thing. I did throw out the box. It's in the recycling right now and stuff like that, but it looks exactly the same. So it has like these gemstones and stuff on it, and then it has the names of the shades on the back and this really cute little gemstone shape, which I think is really cool. And then you open it up, it does come with a protective piece, which I try to keep on my shadows as much as possible. And this is what the colors are. It does also have the colors right next to the color names right next to the palette, next to its shade, which is really cool. I really like when I can just look at a color and know exactly what it is. So I really like when the names are right next to the shade. I think that's really great. So a lot of people are pointing out, and I'm going to point it out too, there is no mirror in this palette. A lot of people don't understand why, but I know that adding mirrors to palettes can make palettes a lot more expensive, because mirrors, especially good mirrors, are really expensive for brands to produce. So I personally am not all that upset about the fact that there isn't a mirror. Sure, I wish there was one, absolutely. But I don't mind the fact that there's not, because it would have jacked up the price even more. As you probably know, this palette is, I believe it's $40, which is ColourPop's most expensive item up to date, but this is also the biggest palette they've ever done. This is their first mega palette, which is really exciting. I'm really happy for ColourPop and happy that they were able to do this. I'm really happy for Kathleen, because this palette it's so gorgeous. I mean, like, seriously, it's so pretty. One of the reviews that I've been seeing is that it's almost like a little lackluster when you actually open it up. Like, it looks so bright on the Instagram feeds and everything like that, and then it's so muted when you get it. I can kind of see that, but like, I still think that's incredibly bright, and everything looks incredibly pigmented and just really pretty and eye-catching. There's not a single shade in here that I don't want to use, and I think it looks really great. So that's just my personal opinion. I think everything still looks bright and fun and pigmented. There is one super shock shadow up here in the corner. It's in the shade Diamond, and then there are two pressed glitters right here in the shade Topaz and the shade Opal. So if you guys don't know, ColourPop does advertise that their pressed glitters are not They're not recommended for eye use. I don't think they use the words not eye safe, but they're not recommended for eye use, and that's because they're pressed glitters. They are very chunky, so should anything get in your eye, it could cause a major issue. And so a lot of people are struggling to understand why these ended up in an eyeshadow palette, but actually if you look at it, it's called the pressed powder palette. So it doesn't necessarily say that all things in here are going to be eyeshadows. It is a pressed powder palette. So that's just something to point out. So if you are not comfortable using those on the eyes, absolutely don't. I loved Kathleen's tip. If you saw her reveal video for this palette, she actually recommends taking the glitter like on your fingers and then sliding it through your hair. I think that is so cute, super great for festivals or just like any special occasion where you're going to be in like bright lights and things are going to be popping. So I think that's really cute. I personally do not mind the idea of using them on my eye. I probably won't be doing that for a little while though, because I don't have a like glitter glue. And I don't necessarily feel comfortable putting these just like as they are on my eye. Sorry, my hair is doing something real weird over here. I don't necessarily feel comfortable putting them on as they are without that glue. So maybe if I can get my hands on one of those, then I'll probably put them on my eye. But I am probably gonna try out that glitter trick pretty soon. So I think that's really awesome. In case you can't tell, this was inspired by gemstones and crystals. Another big review that I'm seeing going around is that when people think of crystals, this kind of goes back to the whole like muted palette thing. When people think of crystals, they think of a lot brighter colors than these. Again, I kind of understand what they're saying, but at the same time, like there are some crystals that like, especially because crystals can get like that foggy texture on them sometimes. So, I mean, I still think these pretty visually represent crystals. I can understand, like I said, I understand what people are saying. I personally still think this reminds me of gemstones, especially ruby, because it's a metallic and it's red. I think that's so pretty. Ruby, aquamarine, this color fluorite up here, love it. Like, there are so many colors in here that I think are really pretty. The topaz, to be honest, that legitimately looks like a crystal. Like, I'm all into it. So yeah, so I'm gonna just go over the shade names and then I am gonna swatch everything for you. So I think there are 40 colors in here, 30? I think it's 30. Yeah, there's 30 colors in here, which I think is a really good size for a palette. I love the packaging, like I said. And each shadow is, the pressed glitter is 0.03 ounces, the Super Shock shadow is 0.05 ounces, and all of the pressed powder shadows are 0.03 ounces. So that's just something to keep in mind. I'm not going to do the math of how much that is per gram or anything, or per ounce, but so yeah, we're just gonna go row by row. Column by column. I'm gonna this column, and just go through like that. Oh, and also really quick before I swatch this. So I ordered this not this past Friday, but the Friday before. So, you know, normally when you order from ColourPop, it says on there, if you don't get the expedited shipping, that'll take 3 to 5 days to process. And that's exactly what it did. It took, I believe it took 4 business days. Because of course I ordered it on a Friday, so they didn't do anything Saturday and Sunday, so I believe it took until Wednesday. So Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It took 4 business days to process. And then it took until Saturday to get here. So I do, like, that kind of bothered me a little bit, because a lot of brands that I have ordered from in the past, I get an order confirmation the day I order it, and then it's shipped out like the next day, pretty much. So ColourPop, and this has happened before with ColourPop. But what I'm really appreciative of is when I opened this up, they actually sent me a free ColourPop Ultra Metallic Lip in the shade Morning Glory, and they sent that with a little postcard saying, sorry we're late. So they like understood that their shipping and everything took a lot more time, And so they sent this as compensation, which I thought was really, really cool. So that's actually the lip that I'm wearing today. I'm wearing it right now. It is very metallic, so if you're not into metallic lips, this is not going to be something for you, but I think it's a very pretty shade. A little pinkier than I would normally wear, but I'm pretty into it. I can top it with like a darker gloss or something if I wanted to. So thank you to ColourPop for sending me this as compensation for being a little longer than normal. I really, really appreciate that. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can actually see the camera. Ta-da! And now we're going to go ahead and swatch everything. So I'm just going to do it on the back of my hand, and then I'll just go down, like I said, column by column, and then we will talk about it. Okay, so this is the first column right here. So you can kind of see that shimmer up top, and then it just goes all the way down like that. So that first shade up top here is Diamond. That's the Super Shock Shadow. And then we have My Precious, which is like an ivory cream matte. We have Peridot, I always want to call it Peridot, but I think it's Peridot, which is like this really cool yellow toned olive metallic. Super duper cool, love it. And then we have Geodude right underneath it, which is like an olivey toned brown. And then here at the bottom we have Emerald. So I used Diamond, Peridot, and Geodude this morning on my eyes. I used Diamond here, let me just go through my eye here. So in the inner corner I used the color Pearl, which is, it's a pearl shade, it's pearl finish, pearl color. Use that in my inner corner of my brow bone. And then I used a little bit of Rose Quartz in the crease, and then I topped that with a little bit of Geodude, which you can't really see right now because I then topped it with a little bit of Garnet, which is a reddish brown, like a brick red brown, and that kind of overtook Geodude, so I like changed the look about halfway through. And then I used Ametrine on my lid with a little bit of Onyx on the outer corner over here, and then on my lower lash line I used Geodude on the lower lash line with a little bit of Peridot right here on the inner third of my lower lash line. So like I said, I've used some of these this morning. I also used Diamond on the inner third of my actual lid just to add a little bit more sparkle. So with the colors that I used this morning, I am finding that Geodude is actually a little bit hard to blend, and you definitely have to build up the pigment. Like I said, it kind of got lost under Garnet. So Garnet is extremely pigmented, really, really pretty. Absolutely love it. Geodude, it's a really, really cool concept for a color, and I'm hoping that I'm able to play around with it a little bit more and build it up, but it is a little hard to blend. It got a tiny bit patchy in my crease, so I'm wondering if maybe if I used it on like my lid, if it would do the same thing. So again, just have to kind of play around with it, but it did get a little patchy, and you definitely have to build it up if you want a lot of pigment. Peridot, I mean, you can see it right there. It's like, it's one swipe and done. Like it is blinding, it's smooth, it's buttery, really, really pretty. The Super Shock Shadow Diamond, again, gorgeous. I love the shine that it added to my look this morning. I think it's absolutely cool. I love the Super Shock Shadow texture, everything, so it's really, really pretty. And I think that color My Precious is going to be really good like base. You could use it to set your eyes if you use an eye primer like I do. I think that's a really good color. And then Emerald. Oh, Emerald is just so pretty. Like, that is gorgeous. Again, just swatching that, I didn't use it this morning, but just swatching it, it's, again, really smooth and buttery. It has a lot of shimmer to it. It swatches really nicely. So I'm excited to play around with that color. I think it's going to be really, really pretty in the fall time. Greens and blues tend to make my, greens and purples tend to make my eyes pop. So I kind of want to do a look with Peridot and Emerald, Alexandrite, Amethyst, and Ametrine. We'll see if we can come up with something for that. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on those colors. I'm gonna go ahead and take this off my hand, and then we'll swatch the next row. So next we have Rose Quartz up top, and then we have Sunstone, and you're at Gem. We have Carnelian, and we have Jade, and then just at the bottom there, that's still Emerald. I accidentally missed getting Emerald off on my hands, obviously. So again, first impression, I didn't use any of these this morning except for Rose Quartz, and Rose Quartz is really, really pretty, and it's a lot different on the lid and like in the swatch than what you would expect it to be, because if you look at it, it's kind of like, almost like a muddy, like cream color. It's got a little bit of a gray and brown tone to it, but it looks like it would be like a brown. Sorry, I was putting my makeup remover back. But then you put it on the lid and it's a rose quartz color. It's got a pink hue to it. And it's very buildable and blendable. I loved using that color as a base this morning. I think that's a really, really good transition shade. I will say when I swatched Jade, this is something I've seen in another person's video too. I think it was Allie Glines talked about this. Jade is a little bit patchy. I did have some problems swatching it on my hand. I had to swatch it twice actually to be able to show you guys. So again, I think that's a really gorgeous shade, but it is going to be patchy. I think I'm going to have to just play around with it, see if I can get it to not do that. Carnelian, which was the shade right above it. Holy cow. Pigmented beyond belief. I really want to play around with that color. Sunstone, again, the metallics in this palette seem to be very, very buttery, creamy, easy to use. I'm excited for them. So that was the next row. So now we're going to go in with the shades Ruby, Pearl, Topaz, Stoned, and Alexandrite. So up top we have Ruby, and then we have Pearl underneath it. We have that pressed glitter Topaz, and then we have Stoned, and we have Alexandrite down there at the bottom. So I was actually really surprised with the pressed glitter. It actually did have some like stick to it, to like you can see I got an actual shape out of it. So I might actually be able to put that on my eye without a glitter glue. That's kind of cool. That makes me really happy. That color Ruby, holy cow, gorgeous. Pearl is your typical like brow bone inner corner highlight shade. It's very, very pretty, but it's nothing super unique, at least not to me. It's a color that I have in my collection in multiple places. I have it in like the Lorac Pro palette, and I have it in the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette. Like I have it in multiple places, but it is very, very pretty, and I'm glad that it's in this palette because it really helps tie a look together, I think. Stoned, I think, is really, really unique. It's like a dark brown, but you can definitely see that it has a gray undertone to it, which I think is really, really cool. It's going to be good for building up like some smoky eyes. And then Alexandrite, oh my gosh, super duper pretty. It's kind of like, it almost has like a lilac tone to it, but it does have a little bit of reflex in it, like a little bit of blue reflex, so I think that's going to be really, really cool to play around with. Okay, so from top to bottom, we have Royal Jewels, we have Citrine, Tiger Eye, Jasper, and then Smoky Quartz down at the bottom. So again, some first impressions. I think that color Citrine, when it's actually on like the skin, I think it's a lot more mustard yellow than it appears to be on the swatch, or like in the pan. It looks more of like a bright yellow with a little bit of a mustard undertone to it, but it's still pretty light. But I think in the swatch it's a lot more mustardy, which is not a bad thing. I think that's a really pretty color, but just something to note, it is different from the swatch. Royal Jewels, again, a really good peachy transition shade, really good for lighter skin tones, I think. Tiger Eye, really, really cool. Again, it has some, like a little bit of like silver reflex to it almost, so that's really cool. Jasper, super pigmented, very dark brown, so I think that's going to be a really good color for building up, again, like a darker outer corner, darker outer crease, that type of thing. And then Smoky Quartz, oh my gosh, the shine on that is going to be beautiful for like a dark smoky eye. Okay, so from top to bottom, we have Fluorite, Garnet, Opal, Turquoise, and Amethyst. So the pressed glitter, I'm noticing, is not as densely packed as its fellow glitter Topaz. It did separate a little bit more both in the pan and in my swatch. Garnet, super duper pigmented matte. Again, that's what I have in the crease right now. If you go in with a light hand, it's very, very buildable, or you can just go in straight and that is what you get. Very, very pretty. Fluorite, it's a very light color, which I think is something that not a lot of people are expecting, but I think it is absolutely beautiful. Gorgeous lavender undertone with a little bit of reflex in it. So, so pretty. Turquoise is a gorgeous color. You can kind of see there in the swatch, and I don't know how much of this is. There's makeup remover still on my hand from, you know, wiping off the swatches. But it does look like it's going to be a little patchy. Again, that's something I've seen in some other people's reviews, so I'm going to have to play around with that a little bit. It's a gorgeous color. And then Amethyst, I just took it away from you guys, but it is a beautiful shimmery metallic purple, like I said before with the others. Very metallic, very smooth, buttery, creamy. Looks like it's going to be easy to blend and play around with. So last but not least, top to bottom, we have Moonstone, Ametrine, Aquamarine, Onyx, and Sapphire. I really, really like this row. Actually, this is probably my favorite row out of all of them. It is a little bit cooler toned. I think that Moonstone up top there is an absolutely gorgeous lid color. I think it's really good if you just want like a pop of something shimmery on like a neutral eye. I think that's gorgeous. Ametrine, like I said, I used on my lid today, and I think that is going to be so, so pretty. It's mostly a matte, but it does have a little bit of shimmer in it, and I think that's really, really cool. Again, just kind of adds a little something extra. Turquoise, Aquamarine. Aquamarine, I actually expected to be a little bit brighter blue. It actually leans a little bit more on the silver side, but again, very, very pretty. Just not exactly what I think of when I think of Aquamarine, I will say. It is a little more silver than what I picture. It is a little more silver than what I normally think of when I think of Aquamarine. Onyx is a slightly shimmery black, which again, I think is I put it on my outer corner, and I think that's gonna be really, really cool, or it's gonna add something special to a smoky eye. You could do like a smoky liner with it, anything fun like that. And then Sapphire, stunning. Absolutely beautiful, brilliant, dark blue. That is going to be so, so pretty. You could do like a whole mermaid out of this right corner here. Like, look at that. Mermaid. I felt like the girl from Aquamarine. Mermaid. What a throwback. I love that movie. So yeah, that is the palette swatch for you guys. So as you guys can probably tell from what I'm talking about when I'm swatching them, I did have some hits and some misses. There are some that I definitely need to play around with before I completely say that they are a miss in the palette. Overall, I think this palette is absolutely beautiful and brilliantly done. I mean, every palette is going to have some shadows that are better than others, so I completely, I'm not going to be upset if there's a few shades and colors in this palette that don't work for me. Most of them are a hit, and I'm really, really excited to play around with it. So like I said, I'm going to play with this for a few days, do some different looks, try out some different colors, and then I will come back in a few days and let you know my quote-unquote final thoughts on the palettes. Good morning. So it is now Saturday, the 28th of September. It has been a few days since I filmed the first part of this video, and so I'm going to go ahead and get on here and talk about my final thoughts of the ColourPop Crackling Lights So Jaded palette. I definitely just almost dropped it right there. Oof. So I have been using it almost all week, yesterday being the exception, but I've tried out almost all of the colors, if not all of them. Created a bunch of different looks with it, from neutral to warm toned to cool toned. Obviously I have like some green and stuff going on up here. I did a blue look with it the other day. I've done just like a wide variety of different looks with the palette to test its versatility and its formula, its blendability, and all that type of stuff. So I do have some final thoughts, and so we're just going to go ahead and jump right into them. I still stand with my first impression of it, that this is a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. I think the colors in it are stunning. Some of them are better formulated than others, which I'm going to go into really quickly. So the pressed glitter, I used the pressed glitter opal the other day in my blue eyeshadow look. and it is a gorgeous, gorgeous glitter. I will say, if you are going to use the glitters on your eyes, which you don't have to because ColourPop advertises the pressed glitters as not eye safe just because they are so chunky, and if they get into your eye they can cause issues. But if you are like me and you're okay taking that risk, I would definitely recommend using a glitter glue on your eyelids, just something to hold them in place, because they are very thick and they will move around on your eyelids if you do not set them down. It started out just like in my inner corner, and then by the end of the day, half of it was like up into my crease. So just something to keep in mind, but it is a very, very gorgeous, gorgeous glitter. I am having a little bit of problems with the blendability of the color Jade and the color Geodude. I know some people are having problems with the color turquoise. When I did that, I didn't have too many issues with it, but I also just used a really, really light hand and just built it up slowly. I really, really like the color Alexandrite. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. The pressed pigment, the Super Shock shadow in here, gorgeous. I love the color Pearl. It is a beautiful inner corner highlight or brow bone highlight. The color Peridot, which is on the inner half of my eyelids right now, really stunning. I think the metallics in this palette are really, really nicely formulated. I love them. Peridot especially, I think, is just very unique and bright and fun. The color Sapphire, I actually had a few issues with blendability wise. Again, I was able to work through it and use a light hand and some different brushes to make it all work out. So some of the mattes are a little inconsistent, but the metallics are gorgeous, and the mattes that are inconsistent, if you work with them light hand, multiple brushes in varying density, you can definitely make them work and make them look very, very pretty. So that is something to keep in mind if you don't really like having to work for a makeup look. There are going to be some colors in here that you might struggle with. Like I said, I had some issues with Sapphire. I know some people are having issues with the color Turquoise. I had some issues with the color Jade. So just something to keep in mind. I think that the pan size of these is really, really nice. Like I said, I really like the packaging, and I think overall this palette is really, really versatile. ColourPop is so good at formulating eyeshadows, even if there are a few inconsistent ones, like I said. I think the palette overall is still worth the purchase. And I think Kathleen did a gorgeous, gorgeous job with this palette. It's very, very pretty, and I'm so happy that I bought it. And she does have a few makeup tutorials and stuff on her channel. And I hope to be posting some makeup tutorials with this palette soon, maybe even one on what I did today. Yeah, I think that it's a really, really good palette. I don't know if you can use coupon codes on it yet, but if you can, I would definitely use those, because then that would also make it even more worth it, because you're not paying as much money as you would if you paid full price for it. I paid full price for it, and I still think it's worth it, and I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. One thing I will say, I've only used the pressed glitter once, but I already feel like if I look at it, I feel like I've used up a lot of it. Like it's already kind of digging into the pan. So if you use the pressed glitters consistently, they probably are not going to last you super long. So again, something to keep in mind. I don't know how often people would use glitters and stuff like that. I know I personally wouldn't. I'm not going to use them super often because I don't have glitter glue. But again, something to keep in mind if you really, really like glitters. So I think that's all of my thoughts. The packaging can get a little messy. Like you can kind of see right now, I have a little bit of a smudge right there in between Jade and Emerald. So if you don't like clean off the packaging, it can get kind of messy. I try to keep my packaging as clean as possible. Definitely does not always work out, but again, something to keep in mind. But yeah, I think there's a really good ratio of neutrals to color to metallics to mattes to, I think it's just overall really, really good ratios for the whole palette, and I think that it is worth the full price. So it does have its issues. What palette doesn't? I have yet to have a completely flawless palette, but I really, really like it, and if you're looking for a recommendation from a smaller YouTuber, I think that this palette is really, really good, and if you haven't tried ColourPop, this is a really, really good one to start with, I think. So yeah, those are my final thoughts on the Kathleen Lights ColourPop So Jaded palette. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Again, if you don't have this, I would definitely recommend buying it when it comes into restock. I think they're out already of the second restock, so I don't know when they're restocking again, but I would definitely recommend getting it. And I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Please look forward to some makeup tutorials coming up with this palette. I'm excited to do those. I'm thinking I'm going to try and do 2 or 3. And yeah, that's everything I have for you. Like I said, hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers by the end of 2019. It would mean a lot to me if I could reach that goal. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, everybody.